Most people approach the FE exam like a checklist of topics. They try to cover everything, and that's exactly why they end up failing. FE is not a content problem, but a prioritization problem. Here's the truth. The mistake is going back to your college notes, watching random FE exam problem videos on YouTube. Well, kind of like mine, but I'll get to the bigger picture here in a second. And trying to broadly remember everything from college. I can tell you up front from people who have passed and failed that this is not a winning strategy. You don't just study topics for the FE exam, you study probability. You need to start thinking about the topics on the FE exam differently. Start with weighing the different topics on the exam based on priority. Use the NCES specs. Example ranges for the math section is 8 to 12, statics is 10 to 15, fluids is 9 to 14. Ethics, small but certainly easy points, unless your idea of solid engineering is endangering the public. This is going to tell you where your points actually will come from when you take the exam. You need to classify your topics into 3 different problem buckets. First is the high weight and high return. This is going to be statics, fluid mechanics, math, mechanics of materials. This needs to be your foundation for studying for the exam. Next is the medium weight and moderate difficulty. This includes dynamics, geotechnical, structural, construction. These support your core that you set up in Tier 1. Next are the low weight and easy points. This includes ethics, engineering economics, and probability and statistics. Most of these you can do on your calculator or a simple chart that you reference in the FE reference handbook. How you would poorly construct a plan to pass the FE exam. You spend 1 day per week for each week in the 2 months following the exam on dynamics. You spend another full day on engineering ethics. And then you cram all your statics and geotechnical problems on Friday night when you're most weary and not concentrating. You've mastered a low impact topic and ignored all your high yield ones. A correct allocation looks something like this. 40 to 50% of your time is on Tier 1, 30 to 40% is on Tier 2, and then somewhere between 10 to 20% is on the Tier 3 we discussed before. The thing is, passing the FE exam is not about mastering every topic. It's about maximizing the amount of correct answers you can get. There's no penalty for totally screwing up on one section, yet getting all the problems right on another. It's simply about passing a threshold that gets you over the top when it comes to your score. You only need somewhere between 60 to 70% of the problems correct, and that changes everything. You don't need perfection, you need efficiency. So here's your concrete steps before you begin studying your next week for the exam. Pull up those FE exam specs, rank the topics by weight and your current ability. If you need to figure out your current ability, well, just try your hand at some of the practice problems on my channel. And build your schedule around those high yield ones first, the weak high yield ones next, and then those easy points last. For example, when I went to study for the exam, I knew my strengths. They were in fluid mechanics, water resources, geotechnical, mathematics. Anything regarding statics or structural engineering, well, it just never clicked with me, even back in college. So I allocated my effort appropriately. I mastered fluid mechanics, water resources. I basically was confident that I got all those problems right on the test. I got competent enough in statics and structural engineering that I got enough problems right and knew how to approach it. But I knew that I would never get the more complex problems correct. So I didn't waste time studying those. I studied other low-hanging fruit that I could get that would help me get me over the top. It's not going to be perfect or pretty, but it was a solid strategy. So start weighing your topics. What is in Tier 1? What do you need to work on? And start designing your plan around that. If you need a free study plan, you can find one that I've provided in the description down below. It gives you a 3-month plan to passing the FE exam that works just on the system that I described here. And if you're interested in working with me directly so we can personalize your plan to your strengths and weaknesses, and give you accountability weekly, you can contact me down below in the description if you're looking for direct help. Thank you so much for watching, and anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.